What is going on, guys? Welcome into the live show, Monday Night Football, Lions, Ravens. I am your host, Tyler. Joe, my main guy, as always, here. How we doing?
Man, doing great. I'm so excited. Monday Night Football, national TV, everyone's watching. It's in Baltimore. I feel like we have some stuff to take care of from 2023? They kicked
Yeah.
our ass out. Yeah, so feels
All
good,
right.
man.
Let's do the inactive reports, and then we're going to get into some keys for both sides of the ball. Pierre, do you want to go ahead and start off with the Lions injury report or inactive
Yeah,
report?
yeah, just real fast. The Lions play Zylstra and Davenport on IR. Davenport's injury, according to Ray and Rapport's 4-week injury, then he'll be back. And then they signed Tristan Cole into the active roster. So
Okay.
now get into inactives. Thomas Harper, running back Craig Reynolds for the first time inactive in 2 years. Sione Vaki is healthy. Vaki is now officially RB3. Kingsley Agukan, obviously Tristan Colon takes his spot. And then Chris Smith, Mekhi Winger are active. But for the first time this year, they actually added him during the waiver wire. During the waiver claims is Tyler Lacey, defensive tackle, and defensive end Tyrus Sweet. So, yeah, interesting
And then
that they went with Lacey over Wingo.
yeah, and then you got Travis Nowaski back, Trevor Nowaski back
Trevor
too.
Nowatzki is back as well. Yeah, the Lions are pretty healthy for the most part. I mean, you have
Outside of losing Davenport.
but I mean, you look at the Ravens though. You get into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, they have some key names on here. So you got starting off with defensive tackle Namdi Matabuke, one of their main players on defense. He's going to be out for this game. You got tight end Isaiah Likely on this injury report or an active report. He hasn't played yet this season. He was limited in practice this week. You got outside linebacker, former Lion Kyle Van Noy, fullback Patrick Ricard, running back Keaton Mitchell, cornerback Jahir Alexander, and then offensive tackle Carson Vincent on this inactive report. So some key names when you look at that Ravens inactive report, starting with Namdi Metabuke and Kyle Van Noy. Let's start
And
off there.
likely,
And likely hasn't played yet this year. He's going to be back soon. But yeah, he'll be out for another week, and that's in the Lions' favor. So let's start off with the Lions' offense against this Baltimore Ravens defense. I mentioned those two crucial names, Matabuke, Van Noy, and even Jahir Alexander, who they signed in the offseason. He's out also in this game. What's something you look at the Lions need to establish early on in this game?
um, I would attack the edges. Kyle Van Noy, obviously good player. Let them in sacks last year, 12.5 sacks. But they got Mike Green playing. The first round rookie out of Marshall. I think one of his weaknesses is setting that edge. I'd attack the edge, and they also have a corner, Nate Wiggins, right? We know he's a fast corner. We know he's a fast corner, but one of his coming out of the draft, his weakness was tackling or stopping the run because he's not as strong. He's like tall, lanky corner, but he's not as strong. So I would attack their edges in the running game.
You look at Detroit's game plan last week, and it was a little different from other, games we've seen from the Lions. And obviously, this is a new coordinator with John Morton. They went to establish the run first versus Chicago Bears. Do you think that's going to be more of a tendency going forward, or is that just a kind of a game flow thing with playing the Chicago Bears?
I think you always want to get the run game going, but I could see Detroit setting up the pass to run in this game. Um, the reason why I say that is because Baltimore's front is really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers. You still got Travis Jones, one of the best nose tackles in football that they have there. So you still got a really strong entry. Even with Matabuke out, they do got I believe his name is Pebbles, the rookie. He's been good for them. So I would still attack those edges. Kyle Van Noy's not out there. You got smaller corners. That's personally what I would do, and then get the play action. You know how they started first play last week, play action.
We're
Amon-Ra
just going
St.
to get to
Brown.
that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be. I think we could maybe see that again this week. I don't know if it's going to be Amon-Ra necessarily, but get the play action game to set the running game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like last time we played Baltimore, and again, that's completely 2 years ago. A lot of different turnarounds on both sides of the ball, right? The Lions' problem offensively was very, very stagnant. I felt like it was very predictable. They kind of want to get that run going very early, and Baltimore was keeping Detroit in ground that game. They didn't have David Montgomery in that previous match in 2023 with Jameer Gibbs, and it was a lot trying to set up the run, and they just couldn't get it going. They had a lot of 3 and outs to start the game. And then you see Baltimore's offense, that very dynamic offense that we're going to talk about very soon, just keep scoring points against Detroit. And it's like, damn, now you're already down 14-0, then 21-0. Like, imagining Detroit, kind of like last week. I feel like they kind of want to get off to a hot start. Maybe a dynamic play, big explosive play to start off the game. Maybe not necessarily the same play where the Amon Ra, like you said, the play action, but I expect an explosive play very from the get-go. Like I think Detroit wants to set the trend in this game, start the trend going forward, and maybe get an early lead if they can start with the ball potentially. So I know in the past we usually see Detroit like to get the running game going, but in this matchup, you miss some guys. Potentially, I'm okay with an explosive play, maybe from the first play or just the first drive in general, and let's get this thing going and let's make Baltimore a little on their toes from right from the get go.
All right, something with explosive plays though. This secondary is not Chicago's secondary.
No.
Okay, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, up there with Branch and Kirby Joseph. Obviously, our guys have more experience with Kirby and Starks being a rookie, but man, those safeties are studs. And then on the outside, you got Nate Williams, really good cover guy. On the opposite side of him, you got Chidobe Awuzie. He's been solid for them. The nickel is Marlon Humphrey. Mm-hmm. I feel like Marlon Humphrey is kind of like he matches up better versus those bigger wide receivers, not those smaller, shiftier guys. I feel like St. Brown could do some damage there a little bit. But then don't forget, you got Roquan Smith, who's an all-pro linebacker, and we know him from Chicago. I don't know why Chicago got rid of him, but that's dumb. Whatever. So that is the explosives are hard. I think like the yak stuff, because they play a lot of zone and they do a lot of fire zones. So if you could break a tackle or if you could beat your guy, it's the yak. I don't think you're going to see like bombs being thrown. Like maybe like 7-8 yard catches could turn into like 20-30 yard plays. That's more realistic in this type of game.
I agree. I don't think it necessarily has to be a JMO bomb right off the gate, 70 yards or whatever. The new touchback rules, 65 yards, whatever it is. Right? I don't think it has to be something like that right from the get-go. But I don't think it should be a run pass, from the first drive. Like a 3-and-out would be bad to start the game. I want to start the trend off hot. Let's start off the game hot. Let's get Baltimore thinking. This is not going to be like last time. I think you got to be different, got to be creative in this game, kind of like last week. Detroit wants to be creative versus Ben Johnson, the Bears. I think get creative in this game. You're on the road, you're in Baltimore, it's a hostile environment. Take the noise away early in that game. And like I said, it doesn't have to be necessarily a big bomb to Jameson Williams' first play, but like you said, it could be a little yak play. You dump off to Jahmyr Gibbs, let you see what he could do with the open field, or Jameson Williams see what he could do with the open field. But just have a little more creativity right from the get-go compared to the last game versus Baltimore, where they were very, very standard from start to finish.
I think this is more of a Laporta St. Brown game versus like a JMO type game, personally. Yeah. I mean, they might use JMO like a little maybe more to shorten his immediate routes, but I think this is a game where Laporta and St. Brown have to excel. Especially St. Brown. You can see a lot of Marlon Humphrey. Look, Marlon Humphrey is a good corner. I just think it's a bad matchup for him today, personally. That's my thought.
The important thing too is that they improved a lot from week one was in last week's game and they're going to have another test at it, is the interior offensive line, just the offensive line in general. They have to protect Jared Goff. You're back on the road. The communication has to be crucial. And I'm hoping after last week they could, build that continuity that they had and keep it going forward, because week one was a complete mess. You had a lot of miscommunication on the offensive line. You saw Jared Goff was getting pressured instantly very often in that game. And they corrected that last week. You're missing two crucial guys on the defensive line too this week, with no Madubuike, no Kyle Van Noy. So hopefully that offensive line is on locks this week, and they can give Jared Goff a clean pocket, and he can make multiple reads. And when Jared Goff gets confident, gets that swag going, that's when this Detroit Lions offense really gets going too, like you saw last week for Chicago. So that'd be huge in this game if they can get it going for Baltimore.
Yeah, those guys you mentioned, they're their two best passers, but Baltimore has good depth on their D line. They have Mike Green, obviously their first round pick. They have David Ojabo, who's been a healthy scratch, but he's a second round pick. We know him from Michigan, his days at Michigan. So they have some solid depth on the D line. The guy they drafted this year, Pebbles, they brung up Brent Urban from the practice squad. He's played in a lot of games. He's a veteran in this league. So they have solid depth, but obviously it's a big loss when you lose your top two pass rushers, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And hopefully Detroit can take advantage of that. But like you said, this is going to be a tough game. This is arguably the toughest game on the schedule. Even when we were looking at the preseason, this was always going to be a tough game, tough environment to play in. And, these are two Super Bowl caliber teams right here. So you're going to see best on best today. So it's going to be a really fun matchup. But switching
It doesn't get better than this, Tyler. It does not get better than this.
It really
doesn't. As a football fan, and if you can't beat the best, you don't belong in these conversations. You want to be able to beat the best, like being the top team or whatever. So
Yeah. And if Detroit could somehow find a way to win this game, my goodness, the hype and excitement for this football team will be at an all-time high because this is a very tough game. There's not many teams that just go into Baltimore and go win it, especially on prime time. And let's talk about the other side of the ball because that's where the dynamic and that's where the fireworks really start. It's with the quarterback, Lamar Jackson, right? You're looking at Detroit's defense. You lose Davenport. He goes to IR. You're playing Lamar Jackson. You're playing Derrick Henry. You're playing the Baltimore Ravens offense. What's got to be the first game plan for Kelvin Shepard? Because, he said himself, he can't go to sleep because he's trying to game plan for Lamar Jackson. So how do you limit, because you're not going to completely stop, how do you limit Lamar Jackson in this Baltimore Ravens offense?
all right. So I love AG, but one thing I don't like about him is he kind of did the same thing against mobile quarterbacks and it like bit him in the ass a few times. You don't want to play as much man, and you don't want to blitz as much. I'm expecting a more heavy zone scheme this week. Also, I'm expecting more base. The reason why is the Ravens typically line up a lot in 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, versus 11 where it's 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. So the Ravens like to play big as well. And I mean, we saw it last year, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, right? But Likely is hurt now. They got their backup tight end. He's not as good, obviously, as Likely. And Andrews has struggled this year.
Yeah.
But the key starts with stopping the run. And if you look at Cleveland did a pretty good job against them last week.
Very good job. Very good.
I expect the Lions to follow that same blueprint. They stacked the box on them. They're like, if you're going to beat us, Lamar has to beat us with his arm. And honestly, that's probably the best way for you to go this week. That's what I would do. I would stack the box. I'm expecting a lot of Derek Barnes. I'm not going to see a lot of Meek Robertson this game, in my opinion. Stack the box and just cover these guys, man. When you got to cover because you get a lot of one-on-one opportunities on the outside. Probably playing cover 3, single highs, my guess. So you're going to see a lot of like one-on-ones. These corners have to beat them. Corners been up and down the last couple of weeks. They got to be on their A game today. Week 3, those first 2 games, get a little like. Get used to it, see what's going on. But week 3, man, you got to get going, especially against this Baltimore team.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. I think stopping the run is going to be the first big crucial thing, and that's a lot easier said than done, especially when you got the Lamar's ability mixed in the factor as well. It's not like you're only worrying about Derrick Henry as well, who's already another beast of himself. But like you said, I think Cleveland did a very good job of that, and the scoreboard is not going to indicate that Cleveland played good defense in the game because I think they gave up 40 plus points. I think it was 41 points, whatever it was. But if you actually watch the game, Baltimore was, Cleveland was hanging around with Baltimore for a lot longer than I think people expected it to be. And it really pulled away in the fourth quarter when it felt like that defense was really gassed because their offense was just not being able to sustain drives. The opposite from Cleveland to Detroit, yes, the defense is going to be Detroit's game plan. I think they're going to copy a lot what Cleveland did and try to stop that running game. But if Detroit's offense could, have some longer drives, give your defense some rest, which something Cleveland just can't do right now because they don't have a great offense. So if Detroit could keep scoring points and put Baltimore on the fence, I agree with you. That's where it gives Detroit an advantage. If you're making Lamar one-dimensional, yes, he could still beat you with his arm. He's an elite quarterback for a reason. But if you could limit him to a certain extent and take Derrick Henry out the game plan, that's a huge, huge, huge boost for the Detroit Lions. Like I said, that's a lot easier said than done. You don't see many games like Derrick Henry had last week. I think he was averaging less than 2.5 yards a carry. Like, you just don't see those type of games from Derrick Henry. And then having to limit Lamar's running ability, something the Lions haven't shown that they can do yet, would be also huge. But like you said, new defensive coordinator. Let's see what Kelvin Shepard has up his back. Like you said, Aaron Glenn was never a pro at stopping mobile quarterbacks. Always had a very tough time at stopping them. So this is another test for Kelvin Shepard to see if he could, improve that aspect of the Detroit Lions defense and stopping mobile quarterbacks. But yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. If you could stop this running game, stop Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson, or not even have to completely stop it, just limit it, right? And not make it a huge factor. That's a huge boost because I look at these Baltimore Ravens pass catchers and there's not really many threats. We talk about guys we have to circle. The only really guy I'm kind of circling on
Zay Flowers
is Zay Flowers. All right. There's not really anyone else that really is a big threat to me. Mark Andrews is not the same player he was even 2 years ago. You're throwing out guys like DeAndre Hopkins, like Rashad Bateman's a fine quality player, but like there's not many guys you have to necessarily circle as a pass catcher outside of Zay Flowers, in my opinion. And if they could limit him, That's a huge boost for the Detroit Lions defense. But like you said, first and foremost, you have to establish stopping that run, stopping Derrick Henry, not making Lamar Jackson's legs a big factor in this game.
Something to come up. DeAndre Hopkins, they use him mainly in the red zone. He only plays like about 10 to 20% of the snaps. He doesn't play a lot. Zay Flowers, I believe, has 20 catches, and all the other receivers has like 5 or 6 or less or something like that. So Zay Flowers is their big play guy. And obviously Derrick Henry in the running game as well. But if you limit those two guys, and I think they're going to try to get Mark Andrews going to, because they have to. He's their second best option in the passing game right now. He hasn't been playing well, but I'm guessing they're going to try to get him going to. And I think Mark Andrews will have a little success because Jack Campbell has struggled in coverage a little bit this year, and I think they're going to go at Jack a little bit. So, but, I would bracket Zay Flowers, everyone else one-on-one, personally, because you want to commit to everyone in the box. That's what I would do. So we'll see, though.
My concern here is, and something we've kind of seen the first 2 weeks, it's been a problem. It's kind of been a problem for the Lions for a while now, right? Is the pass rush. Now it's like, because it gets scary, in my opinion, when you're giving Lamar Jackson 5-6 seconds per pass, right? Like you can't have him sit in the pocket, make multiple reads, because like I said, these guys don't necessarily scare me, but if you're giving Lamar Jackson and these guys plenty of time, guys are eventually going to get open. And like we said, we don't have necessarily a true cover one cornerback cover guy, right? Like DJ Reed and Terran Arnold are fine players. Arnold's been up and down, and honestly more down than up. I'm being maybe a little generous saying up. So if you're giving Lamar multiple time in the pocket and being able to make multiple reads, like that can get really scary. So you need a big game out of your pass rush, and losing Marcus Davenport hurts, right? So these guys have to step up. Aiden Hutchinson, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Pat O'Connor, in the interior, Tyleek Williams, DJ Reed, or Roy Lopez. Like these guys really need to step up, cause some pressure, because man, if Lamar's sitting in that pocket, I don't like that at all. Because like I said, I'm not necessarily afraid of these guys outside of Zay Flowers, but like it's the NFL, man. You're giving guys multiple times in the pocket, they're eventually going to get open in the passing game.
So here's the thing about that though. So last week, when Ronnie Stanley was one-on-one, I know Myles Garrett is a great player, but when they left him one-on-one, he gave up 5 pressures and 2 sacks.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have their right guard, Daniel Falele, I think is his name. Falele. I can't say his name. Yeah. That guy is he's not good in pass pro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then you got the
400 pounds, but yeah.
He is a massive dude, but he is not good. He's not, bro. You ask Ravens fans, they hate the guy.
He's a big gumball. I remember him from Minnesota.
And then their other guard, Andrew Voorhees. He's solid in pass pro, but he cannot move in the running game. He's not a mover in the running game. So there's matchups you could exploit. Their center, Tyler Linderbaum, is one of the best centers in the league, and the right tackle is having a phenomenal year this year. So, I mean, they got some good pieces, but they have some pieces where you could exploit them a little too. 100%. Linderbaum, I think, right now might be like top 3, top 2 center. He's a really good player. But again, though, like you could expose them a little bit here and there.
Hopefully, right? And I agree with that. Like there is some potential weaknesses there, but I have to see it first of all, this defensive line from the Detroit Lions, because I haven't seen it consistently. You saw it basically nowhere, to be found in Green Bay, right? And then Chicago is a little better, but I think it's a little different situation. In this game, it's hard to compare to Cleveland because I think Cleveland has one of the best defensive lines in football, man. They just have so many studs on that defensive line. Myles Garrett, like you said, one of the best guys. They got Mason Graham in the draft this year. Like, absolute
who's been phenomenal. We're going to see him next week. We'll talk about that next week. But
already absolute stud. So, like, it's hard for me to compare Detroit to Cleveland's defensive line and what they were able to do. But, hey, Aiden Hutchinson, like you said, like, for the other guys, like, this is week 3 now. Like, let's get it going now. Like, this is the time to start to really get it going. And, just need some big performance out of these guys. Al-Qadim Muhammad, I thought, had a good game last week for Chicago. So now he's going to be, into a bigger role now with Davenport out. So let's see what he can do. Tyleek had a pretty good game too as well for Chicago. Let's see what he can do. But you have to pressure Lamar Jackson.
I think Tyleek and DJ Reader could give those interior guys some issues. Now I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions line Aiden Hutchinson up against
Falele.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if they move him around a little bit. If they want to play one-on-one, if Aiden Hutchinson's one-on-one, I don't care who it is, he has to win those one-on-ones. I mean, he wants $15 million a year, right? He wants to be one of the highest paid edge rush. Show it.
Yeah.
If you're a one-on-one, you got to win. And like last week, he got better. But you can still tell he's not fully there yet. Hopefully this week he turns it on another notch. He was good last week, but I expect
Yeah,
better out of him. He's your best player on defense.
absolutely. And it's Broderick Jones that he was going against in the Chicago Bears. Just not a great offensive lineman, and he got hurt in that game too. So whoever the backup was in that game as well.
Oh, Braxton Jones. Yeah,
Braxton Jones, not Broderick. Yeah, Braxton Jones. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Like Hutch really has to get it going. We really didn't see much week 1. We saw it a little better week 2, but he's coming off a big injury, so you got to give him some time as well. But
this is the week has to get going though. And I think he'll tell you the same thing, and I think the Lions would tell you the same thing as well. Like it's time, bro.
Yeah, you can't let Lamar sit in that pocket all day, and if he does, even if like these guys are not getting open, Lamar has no problem going out there and just extend the play with his legs. He can go do that, right? And that's something he was doing a lot in that first matchup in 2023. So. It's time to pressure him, not let him sit in that pocket, make him uncomfortable. I know it's hard to make him uncomfortable. It's hard to tackle Lamar, but you got to make him uncomfortable as much as possible. Like you're not going to sack him a million times because he's just not that type of quarterback that goes down, but you have to get in his face and cause some pressure. So we'll see what happens, man. This is a big test for this Lions defensive line. And the staff has put a lot of faith in these guys, right? So it's go time. Let's see what they could do.
Yeah, the Lamar is just, he's just, bro, all pro MVP. He's one of a kind. Like he's one of the, I think right now, maybe the best player, him and Josh Allen in the league. Personally,
yeah. They're truly dual threats. They can beat you with their arm or legs.
Those guys are both special players. I don't think there's guys like those. And Mahomes is good too, but he just has nothing to work with right now.
Yeah. I agree with you though. With Lamar and Josh Allen are just at a different level right now. Like especially those two guys.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some predictions and then we'll head out of here. So last week we all went 3-0. We all had the Lions winning and covering that game. And this week the Lions are 5.5-point underdogs in Baltimore. So I'll read off Malcolm's picks first. He sent them in the chat.
I thought it went down to 4.5.
Is it 4.5 now?
ESPN has a 4.5. I don't know what you use.
Let me see. It is 4.5 now. Okay, we'll go by 4.5 because it was 5.5. I think yesterday. I was looking around this morning. So yeah, we'll go by 4.5. So Malcolm had his picks right here. Where are they? Okay, he's got Baltimore winning this game 35-30. So that would be Baltimore winning and covering the game. So he's taking the Ravens to win and cover this game. And did he give us a bold prediction? No, he did not give us a bold prediction. So there you go. He got the Baltimore Ravens winning and covering 35-30. What about you, Pierre?
Give me the Lions 34-30.
Okay.
You want a bold prediction?
Go for a bold prediction, yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, 2 sacks, 5 pressures. Let's match Myles Garrett's numbers. Is that bold enough for you?
That's bold. That's bold. Yeah, if you're matching Myles Garrett numbers on, that's bold enough for me.
From last week. Yeah, let's match Myles Garrett numbers from last week.
2 sacks, 5
pressures. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That'd be huge. If they could do that, then I'm feeling a lot more confident in this game. So I'll say that.
Let's hear yours.
This is, I think, going to be a very, very, very tough game. I don't think Detroit gets blown out the building like they did last time. I think they're going to be very competitive. I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to take the Ravens to win this game. It's a tough one, man. This is a really tough one. Ever since I looked at the schedule, I knew this was going to be a really tough game. So I'm going to take Baltimore to win. I'm going to take them to cover as well. Let's go 35-28. Ravens win this game and they cover. And then bold prediction. Let's go. Amon-Ra St. Brown repeats last week, 3-touchdown game again.
Okay, I like that.
All right. That's a bold prediction. And we got a bold prediction in the chat right here from Dylan Smith. It's going another 3-touchdown game, but not for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He says 3-touchdown game for Sam Laporta this game. That's his bold prediction.
Yeah, I think this is a Laporta St. Brown game. So I don't know about 3 touchdowns, but that's pretty bold. But yeah.
Yep. All right. That's going to be a wrap to this episode. Hope you guys all enjoyed. We will be live immediately right after the game, having our thoughts and reactions right after the game. So you can join us right on here on X or on YouTube, wherever you find us. And if you can't make it, it'll be posted on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast the next day. So you got that to look forward to. So come join us immediately after the game for some post-game thoughts. And hey, hopefully the Lions pull this off and Like I said, man, if they can pull it off today, the excitement and hype for this team is going to be unreal. So, again, hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm out, guys. Peace.
All right, guys, I'm out. Peace.